Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us in what was a very interesting day here in the sports world in the city of Jacksonville. We got a little bit of everything for you tonight. We got some college football talk. We got some NFL talk. We got Trevor Lawrence on our minds tonight. Our NFC East preview continues. As tonight, it's all about the New York Football Giants as we look back on their offseason. But we're going to start it off with a little NIL. An NIL, name, image, and likeness. No, not in the world of college. Ladies and gentlemen, NIL, effective today, has now come to the world of high school here in the state of Florida. More on that in just a moment. We will talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up in about 25 minutes or so. Ryan Michael is a stats analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. All right? So he covers the league on a national basis. Obviously does work with the Hall of Fame there in Canton. And he had some really interesting takes on social media that I'm sure some of you saw over the weekend in regards to Trevor Lawrence. But unlike many folks outside of Jacksonville that talk about Trevor, this was not negative. There was no negative tone with Ryan Michael. No. It was far the opposite of that. This was unbelievably positive. As in, outside of Patrick Mahomes, Ryan Michael's not sure there's a better quarterback in the National Football League than Trevor Lawrence. And I even did a double take when I read that. Said, what? So I messaged him, got in touch. And we're going to have Ryan Michael of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Again, a stats contributor, analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He also does work on KOA Radio in Denver. And we're going to ask him about Trevor Lawrence and why he thinks that Trevor, the stats don't tell the whole story, that Trevor is far better, and he means, trust me, far better than the stats would indicate. That conversation comes up about 25 minutes from right now. Also, Justin Barney of Channel 4 was in Gainesville earlier today for the FHSAA meetings where they passed unanimously NIL for high school athletes. We'll get Justin on up here in less than 15 minutes. And that's where we're going to start. Because every night here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
The world of NIL has infiltrated college, and the result of it is what it is. We live in a world now where college athletes, some of them are making millions of dollars, and you either accept it or you don't have to accept it, but you have to face it as reality. That's where we are. High school, that was not the case in the state of Florida until earlier today. That will be the case almost certainly now, beginning with the 24-25 school year. As early as high school football, which begins in 2.5 months. The FHSAA today in Gainesville unanimously passed, the board did, unanimously passed NIL to the world of high school athletics. Not just football, but across the board. But we're going to focus, obviously, on football right now. I saw a lot of reaction to this. And again, we're going to have Justin Barney on, who was down in Gainesville today for the vote. A lot of negative reaction to this. Here are my thoughts, real quick. Just kind of shaking my head. I didn't realize that 35 states had already done this for their high school athletes. Florida became state 36 today that will grant name, image, and likeness rights to their high school athletes. Now, for an overwhelming majority of high school athletes, this won't mean very much as far as financial compensation. But it could mean something for the 1 or 2%, those 4- and 5-star athletes at the big schools here in the state. What will that mean for the sport? What will that mean for the teams? What will that mean for the coaches who presumably will not be getting paid as much as their star athletes? What will that mean for the star player at School X who basically now can become a free agent, right? I mean, am I reading this wrong? Basically can become a free agent where schools can essentially bid on his services. What will this mean for the star quarterback at School X who's getting potentially thousands of dollars in name, image, and likeness, and the offensive line and skill position guys that make him that star aren't getting anything? And you say, well, players deserve it. I agree. In college, players deserve it. And in college, players don't have to really worry about jealousy issues because everybody's there on a full ride. 85 guys on each college roster got a full scholarship to attend these universities. Now, the best in college are getting more, but everybody on scholarship is getting something. That's why they are on scholarship. Well, that's not the case in high school. You know, if I'm an offensive guard for School X that's blocking for a quarterback that's getting a lot of compensation now with NIL, and right after practice I got to run to work at the grocery store down the street to make $8 an hour, that just seems like that could potentially be a really interesting issue. Denmark, you're in this world. You're an assistant coach at Baldwin. You're not surprised NIL passed today. In fact, you were waiting for the day it would sooner rather than later. That day is today. Your initial thoughts on this?
I mean, like you said, I kind of knew it was going to come. I mean, it was on the board. It was a topic of, they were on the discussion for the last month or so. It was just a matter of time if it was going to be this year, next year. It ends up being for the 2026-27 school year. I mean, I really don't understand the whole hoopla. We all knew that this was going to come. Whenever you have the states around us like Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, North Carolina, you have a lot of those kids right at the border and there's been a lot of these kids that play in the Northeast Florida or the very south of Georgia, and if they are a 4 or 5 star kid and they have the opportunity to make money, obviously they're going to go to Georgia. The bigger gripe that I have, and we spoke on this before the show, was just more of like the coaches' pay. For anybody that doesn't know, Duval County coaches for public school, not private school. Private can do what they want. Public school coaches have not had a raise, I believe, in 38 years, which is insane. So assistant coaches here get paid roughly $1,500, $2,000. Head coaches in Duval County get paid $4,500, and this isn't like a secret. Like this is public. So you're going to have kids, if this does not change for coaches' pay, you're going to have kids making just as much, if not more, than players. Players making more than coaches.
Yeah, and that's an issue. There's no doubt about that. And again, it's the 1%, right? For 9 out of 10 players, you know, this is not going to matter. But it could potentially matter for some high-profile athletes, the 4 and 5 star guys that are being recruited by every school in the country. The names that you know on the high school gridiron could potentially benefit from this. It's a great day for them. Someone on the text line said it's been free agency for 10 years. Yeah, that's true. But you really couldn't waft money at kids in a public setting. Now you can. You know, there might have been backdoor channels. Trust me, I went to Wolfson High School, all right? If we had anybody any good in the early 2000s, they weren't there very long. So it's been going on more than 10 years. There have always been ways around this. But now, with NIL, I mean, you could have, you know, John Doe at whatever public school could just have a bidding process, right? Essentially.
And it's not just the kid. Like, people that are on the outside that really don't understand, like, that don't have kids and haven't been around high school sports.
No, it's the dads. It's the parents.
Right. It's the parents, period, that are always the worst. And you always think the kids entitled the kids this. Well, the kids getting this back at home, and their parents are in their ear saying this, that, and the other. The coach is wrong. The coach is this. Well, it's because they hear it at home all the time. So that's more of where I'm getting. I understand that I'm in the industry, but you know.
Yeah, and that's what I told you earlier. You are inside of it. I'm just talking about from a broad sense. Look, it's not going to affect a lot of kids, a lot of students, but I do wonder, and I'm serious about this. You know, go back to the analogy I used. I'm that offensive guard that's blocking for the quarterback that's getting $1,000 from whomever because he's a 4-star guy, and I have to leave practice to go work a 4-hour shift at the grocery store that night to make $8 an hour. I mean, could that potentially be an issue in the locker room? And you say, well, it's not an issue in college locker rooms. Is it? We've heard rumblings about things. But again, everybody in college, first off, they're 3 to 4, they're 18, 19, 20 years old. They're more mature than 15 and 16-year-olds. Secondly, mostly everybody there is on scholarship, obviously, unless you're a walk-on. So you did earn the right to be there, so you have that in your back pocket anyway. I don't know. It's a monumental day. I mean, Florida, like we said, became the 36th state, a monumental day because Florida became the 36th state to pass legislation for NIL for their athletes, and this is for every sport, not just football, but of course, football, basketball, baseball will likely be the sports that are affected with the top 1% of their players. And yeah, I think it's a valid gripe that you're going to potentially have star players making more than the men that are their head coaches. You know, and Denmark brought this up earlier to me, and I knew it, but just hearing him say it, he's in the industry. You got head coaches that are head coaches, August, September, October, November, if you're lucky, December. What about weight training, January, February? What about conditioning in March and April, spring drills in May, summer camp in June, July? I mean, being a coach, a head coach, an assistant coach in high school is a year-round gig. And certainly in this state, I don't think we've compensated coaches near what they deserve. And is it almost a little bit of a slap in the face to them, the coaching fraternity, that they haven't gotten significant raises in decades, and yet some of their star players all of a sudden may be making more money than them now that NIL is on the table? It's wild. You'll hear the term Wild Wild West with Justin Barney joins me. And that's a term that's gone around a lot today. Certainly a huge day in high school athletics in the state of Florida. I'm curious what your reaction is. Hit me up on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, 641-1010. High school football fans, if we got any coaches out there, any parents out there, your reaction tonight to the FHSAA passing NIL. Denmark, quickly, because we got to go to Justin Barney. What has been the reaction that you've gotten from your coaching fraternity to this point?
I have not talked to them about it yet, and I'll see them in the morning.
What do you believe the reaction will be?
I mean, kind of like mine. They knew it was going to come, and they're probably going to have the same opinion as mine as, when we going to get our money.
Interesting. Interesting times we live in. Who would have ever thought 5-10 years ago that we would see a day where high school players may be earning more than the men coaching them. But that's where we are. With NIL, it passed today in the state of Florida, again, the 36th state, and I was shocked by that. I had no idea. Florida's almost late to the party. Justin Barney, Channel 4, was in Gainesville all day for the FHSAA meetings when they passed the NIL legislation for high school athletes. He joins me next on a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, with Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
Saluting right over left. Arms locked at the elbows. 1010XL, home of the Gators.
Men suffering from ED or PE, see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. For a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call 904-664-8217, 904-664-8217.
Prosser here. As you may or may not know by now, I did the research and decided to go with Jack's Concrete Coatings for my garage floor. OMG, as the kids would say. I can't begin to tell you how good it looks, how happy we are. We brag on it anytime someone walks in the garage. They had the job finished in one day with a lifetime warranty. That's right. As the certified Pintech dealer for North Florida, the only company offering pure polyurea, I can't wait to do my patio deck next. Call 862-2000. That's the number, 862-2000, or jacksconcretecoatings.com.
Did you know Duck Duck Rooter is the area's go-to plumber? A 5-star Google-rated company, Duck Duck Rooter can take care of all of your plumbing repairs and upgrades. Need to switch from septic over to city sewer? Call the Duck. How about water heater repairs and replacement? You're just a duck away, or call away, for Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Andrew Gibson here, sports fans, and the next time you're driving by Kuhn Flowers on Beach Boulevard, why not stop in and smell the roses? Kuhn Flowers has totally changed the face of their store inside and out. Send someone you love a floral arrangement today from Kuhn Flowers.
This is Frank Frangie. Join Dan Hicken and me for All Things Gators, our podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Monday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gators Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
Hey gang, a tougher housing market means it's crucial to hire the right agent to sell your home at maximum price. That's why I recommend Chad and Sandy Newman. Chad and Sandy have the plan and experience to sell your home fast and, most importantly for you, get maximum cash. Listen, problems lead to promises, lead to proof when you trust Chad and Sandy. Among those promises, Chad and Sandy, the only local real estate experts I trust and recommend, and this is why. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Problems that you think are problems are fixed with the promises of Chad and Sandy. Let's go now to some proof. Justin and Palatka. I was trapped in a mortgage with my ex-wife on a home that didn't sell for 184 days with another realtor. Finally, we hired Chad and Sandy, and the difference was instantaneous. We had multiple offers in 7 days and sold and closed in 16. So just do this, gang. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com.
Hey Jaguar fans, I'm Donovan Darris, former 10-year NFL strong safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know you're excited about this upcoming season. Well, I'm excited about the tackling technique camps we're hosting for youth ages 7 through 14 throughout Jacksonville. These camps will help the kids develop all the necessary skills and development and drills they need to be successful. Just like teammates, I need your help. I'm asking for you to consider to sponsor one child for $50. This cost will go towards a child who would not be able to attend otherwise. To do so, just go to my website, DariusNextLevelTraining.com.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Your kids can learn from NFL Hall of Famer Leroy Butler's annual free Legends football and cheer camp. June 22nd at the Police Athletic League at Ed Austin Park. Register at jackspalsports.com.
Builders Care is looking for volunteers, and there are so many ways you can help. Find out how at builderscare.org.
Dreams Come True is a local wish-granting organization giving dreams and special times to local children battling life-threatening illnesses. Find out how you can help at dreamscometrue.org.
Caddyshack Ranch provides a safe, loving, and forever home to endangered big cats. Caddyshack on the north side of Jacksonville has helped lions, tigers, and endangered animals for 30 years. Learn how you can visit or help at caddyshackranch.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Get ready to swing into the hottest party this summer. Join First Team North Florida at the Yard June 13th for the Summer Soiree. We're bringing the spirit of the Pacific Islands to Ponte Vedra with a Hawaiian luau-themed event. Enjoy family-friendly fun, including Hawaiian food trucks, live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and more. The First Tee Summer Soiree provides the perfect blend of golf, party, and philanthropy. All proceeds benefit the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM, and what was a very interesting day down in Gainesville as the world of NIL has now come to high schools in the state of Florida. Wow. Let's go talk to Justin Barney, Channel 4. He was down in Gainesville all day. Justin, appreciate you joining us on what was a very busy day for you. NIL in high school, and it voted, I think, almost unanimous, right? I mean, your thoughts on what transpired down there today?
Yeah, it was an interesting day in Gainesville. Bright and early in the board meeting, the final board meeting of the 2023-24 school year is in the books, and two very big points of conversation were on the agenda today, one being the open or championship division that will put the almost a BCS kind of like situation in the playoffs. You take the top 8 teams by rankings in the state and put them in their own division in a double elimination format and keep the others separated, almost like the bowl system as it is. And also NIL, name, image, and likeness, on the board for discussion today. It passed unanimously, not even that much of a debate, about 25 minutes of conversation, really more about the semantics of what a collective was, and that ruling there. Another board member actually wanted fewer parameters and kind of buffers in place. He wanted more of a free market enterprise, and kind of interesting topic there. But NIL passes. It's coming to high school, will be in place, barring the Florida Department of Education signing off on it. That'll happen July 24th, and then NIL, as we know it, will be in place for the start of the 2024-25 school year. And buckle up, it's going to be a wild one.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. Quickly, Justin, the 8-team playoff situation. I want to get more on NIL in a moment. That's the main reason I wanted you on, but you piqued my interest. Explain that again. So in the world of football, they're going to take the 8 best teams in the state regardless of classification?
They're going to take the top teams in the state by the max preps rating points. So, yes, you will see a Chaminade Madonna, for instance. You will see a Cocoa. You will see a St. Thomas Aquinas, a Gainesville Buchholz, those types of teams, all on the same circuit, seeded 1 through 8 in a bracket, and 2 sides of the bracket. So you'll get a double elimination type tournament, and the winners facing off, I believe, in the 5th round of the playoffs, 4th round of the playoffs, something like that, to crown an overall state champion. Reminds me of kind of like the college football playoff or the BCS era, where you almost devalue the rest of the bowl system by having a playoff, but it does get the best teams on the same the format. And, you wonder who is truly the best team in the state, and we will find out. That is coming 2026 and 27. They pushed it back a couple years. Did not want to start it in the middle of a classification cycle. Really felt like it was rushed almost. It was first brought up last December and then shelved. There was not a lot of movement for it. And, as they were shaking up the suburban metro system, that was kind of pushed to the side. And it resurfaced a couple months ago. So really kind of came back from the dead, and they wanted a little bit more time to scrutinize and analyze it. So, yeah, you'll have a BCS-type playoff with the top 8 teams, and then the rest of the classifications, 1A through 7A, I'm assuming, and going from there. So, what was brought up today by a member of the board was you're almost devaluing or giving a state championship in the other classifications, almost a consolation medal or something. You're not the true state champ. And before, what was brought up back in December, would teams be able to opt out of that if you're one of those top 8 teams? Found out today, asked Craig Damon if teams could opt out of that if they were one of the 8, and say Chaminade did not want to play a St. Thomas Aquinas. It's a big gap in enrollment there, but that is not happening. So if you're in the top 8, you are in that playoff field, that open championship division. So we'll see how that goes. Have had a lot of coaches text me throughout the day asking about both NIL, but that championship division as well. And this is not just football. This is all the major team sports. Will work out great for our area teams, and girls soccer could see 3 or 4 local teams in that top 8 in state championship type tournament. But football is going to make it very, very interesting come playoff time starting in 2026.
Yeah, on the surface, I kind of like that as I'm digesting what you're saying. A couple of more for Justin Barney on his way back from Gainesville. It was a very busy day down there for him, and we appreciate him joining us here this evening on Hacker After Dark. All right, NIL. I know when you tweeted that out earlier, the response was swift from the people I know, and it was not positive. Your thoughts? You've done this for a long time. The fact that name, image, and likeness is coming to high schools, meaning theoretically players are going to start earning more than the coaches that are coaching them.
Yeah, it is kind of the nature of how things have gone, Hack. I mean, I remember being at a board meeting either 3 or 4 years ago, and kind of at the end of the board meeting, the counsel for the FHSAA, Leonard Ireland, brought up something, and I'm remembering it today, ringing loud in my head. And he said, "Hey, it's something we're going to have to start paying attention to is NIL." We were just sued in federal court by a couple athletes wanting NIL type money, wanting to be able to profit off their name, image, and likeness. So be prepared. This is something we're going to have to address at some point sooner rather than later. And that sooner rather than later comes today in the form of a unanimous board decision. And, it's just the sign of the times. I mean, Florida is the 36th state in the United States and District of Columbia to green light NIL. And we've got other states kind of in the works as well. So I think you're going to see a couple more states this summer green light that and barreling towards 40 states probably by the time the fall football season starts. And, a little bit split on it. I do think it is going to be for those bluest of the blue chip type athletes. I don't think you're going to see a lot of players. Georgia instituted this last year, and there's not been that influx of people paying tons and tons of players. Craig Damon, executive director of FHSAA, said today, this is something for the 1%. We still have to regulate the 99%. We still have a lot of students to service and make sure they're taken care of. And 99% of the student population or student athletes will not be affected by NIL. So how do you tailor it for that 1%? You're going to see those elites, the Solomon Thomases at Range, the Jamie Frenches, Tramel Jones, those guys be able to get some of that. I think you probably will see some inducements from schools trying to sweeten the pot and make a player transfer over there. The good with NIL will probably be outweighed by the bad and the people who try to circumvent the system. And it's still a developing topic. And the board members I talked to today said, hey, this is a starting point. This is a launching point for this. It's going to look a lot different 2 years than it looks today. But what it is now is conversation and heading towards being signed off as the official bylaw change come July 24th.
It's free agency is what it is. I mean, let's be honest. You got a player that's really good at school A. Well, now he can get paid to go to school B. It's going to be a bidding process. It's fascinating. But you mentioned the 1%. That's kind of where I'm going. What happens when the 5-star kid in a public school program in whatever city in Florida is getting a couple $1,000s and literally none of his teammates are? I mean, that's going to be a problem in the locker room, is it not?
I think it'll be a problem with parents, and I do think it could create some issues in the locker room. But I think you adjust. You've seen it at college with people having to adjust, and I think Nick Saban brought it up when NIL was first mentioned at being a problem in the locker room. So I do think that's probably even more problematic at high school if you've got a 4 or 5-star player getting a new car or something like that from an NIL kind of situation. So I do think that is a very real issue, and I do think that again will probably be addressed at some point. And Florida is such a different beast than all the other 49 states in the District of Columbia. This is the only state where it's true open enrollment in the country in high schools, where you can go anywhere you want. And I think that's what makes this situation so unique, because there was already almost the transfer portal we mentioned it loosely and everything, but Florida has really truly been a transfer portal type state since 2017 when the FHSAA greenlit open enrollment. So you combine open enrollment, and that's a unique situation on its own with free money in a sense in NIL. And I do think Pandora's box was opened earlier today. And I do think there's legitimate concerns that this could turn into a situation where it is a free agency. I heard Wild Wild West mentioned more times than I can count today. So I do think that is an issue. It's going to be worth watching. But you add the transfer portal type open enrollment with NIL, and you get those situations like you mentioned, Hack, where people are offering some inducements to go play at school A from school B.
Absolutely fascinating. Well, we certainly appreciate it. Again, Justin Barney of Channel 4. He's been in Gainesville all day down at the FHSAA meetings. Justin, I know you're busy. Thank you for giving us time. We'll certainly discuss this more down the line. Appreciate you, brother.
Take care, Hack. Thanks for having me.
There you go, Justin Barney down in Gainesville. There's a lot to get into with this, a lot more to decipher from this. But again, the big story is that Florida today, the 36th state, to pass NIL for high school athletes, and we will see what happens. It's going to be effective pretty quick. July 24th is when it will go into effect, which means obviously this upcoming football season could see money going into the hands of some of the, prominent players on the high school gridiron. From high school players that are about to earn money with NIL to guys in the NFL that are making a ton of money. And one of them is Trevor Lawrence. Of course, he will be making a lot more money once he signs his extension here in Jacksonville. You know, the national narrative on Trevor Lawrence, nationally, again, has not been positive. Locally, I think people are more higher on Trevor Lawrence, or still more optimistic about Trevor than outside. Outside, I think the generational talk is over, and that's pretty much over here locally. That's a bad example. But I think outside Jacksonville, people have Trevor outside the top 10 in quarterback rankings. I've even used the term, or had the term used to me on other interviews, disappointment, underachieving, a lot of different things that are being said about Trevor Lawrence. Are they fair? Well, again, he didn't give himself the generational title. He didn't ask for that. And for that matter, he hasn't lived up to that either. I think the generational thing was nonsense from the beginning. Nobody ever explained to me what that is. If generational is Patrick Mahomes, then yeah, no, there's only going to be one Patrick Mahomes for this generation. All right? So no one's going to be generational other than the guy in Kansas City with 3 Super Bowl rings. But back to the national narrative on Trevor. It has been negative. People do not seem to think he has performed up to his capabilities in 3 years in a Jaguar uniform. So this weekend, I'm scouring the social media platforms, as I tend to do from time to time, and I came across Ryan Michael, who's a writer and a contributing analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And you're asking yourself, well, why did you come across Ryan Michael? Well, he was talking about Trevor Lawrence. Now, Ryan does a lot with decimal points and analytics and analysis on everything for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He also does work with KOA Radio out in Denver. So he has a perspective outside of Jacksonville on the Jaguar starting quarterback. And unlike many outside of Jacksonville, Ryan Michael is unbelievably high on Trevor Lawrence. This was the tweet that got my attention. He tweeted this out on June 2nd. You could make the argument that Trevor Lawrence has been the best quarterback in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. You can choose not to factor in totality of team support, injuries, and context. I do. Nobody in pro football has outperformed their situation at a higher level than he has, meaning Trevor Lawrence. Again, let me read you 2 of those lines again. This is from a tweet from Ryan Michael, a writer and contributing analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. you could make the argument that Trevor Lawrence has been the best quarterback in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. Nobody in pro football has outperformed their situation at a higher level than he has. That got my attention. I reached out to Ryan Michael. I had dialogue with Ryan Michael. And he's going to join me next to talk about his thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. It's a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida. You're right here, Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Ryan Michael joins us next.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Jags. Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. One-on-one interviews with players, practice footage, podcasts, and more. If you're looking for the best Big Cat coverage around, look no further. 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, it's unbelievable. When I used to go on vacation, man, I would put on 10 or 15 pounds. It's just what you do. You eat all the time, right? Go back for seconds and thirds. I was on that cruise ship recently for 8 days. I didn't gain a pound. Now, I had fun. I enjoyed myself. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't go back up for seconds and thirds. You know why? Because my metabolism's on fire, man. I didn't need to. Because I've dropped 65 pounds with Awaken 180, dating back to February 20th, less than 4 months ago. I needed to lose weight. Awaken 180 weight loss was there. It's the best program I've ever been on. The results are incredible. Call 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. If it's time for you to drop weight like it was for me, do what I did. Make the call. Awaken 180 weight loss.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Get ready to swing into the hottest party this summer. Join First Team North Florida at the Yards June 13th for the Summer Soiree. We're bringing the spirit of the Pacific Islands to Ponte Vedra with a Hawaiian luau-themed event. Enjoy family-friendly fun, including Hawaiian food trucks, live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and more. The First Tee Summer Soiree provides the perfect blend of golf, party, and philanthropy. All proceeds benefit the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
Blue for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hayes Carlyon from MyBookie. The NBA playoffs are heating up, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays, and new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sports book. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
In sports, the grind outside the lines is what ultimately defines our success. Get the amateur's edge, powered by B3 Better, to learn the hidden path of top pros, amateurs, and coaches. Saturday mornings at 11 on 1010XL.
Is your roof ready to weather the storm?
Don't take chances with your home safety. Trust the experts at Universal Roof and Contract. Get peace of mind knowing your home is protected from the elements. They'll ensure your roof is in top shape to handle anything Mother Nature throws its way. Right now, get 10% off a re-roof or repairs, plus a free wind mitigation with a full roof replacement. Call 855-ROOF-HELP or click universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Nothing has a 10-year warranty except for a new AC unit from Vons. VONS. Vons Amazing 10. This is legit. A full 10-year warranty. It covers parts, labor, and refrigerant. That's an unmatched commitment they make to their customers, while others will charge extra for weekend and same-day emergencies. Not at Vons. No extra charges. Just great service when you need it, whether your unit needs to be repaired or replaced. Remember, if your AC won't turn on, just call Vons.
Come on, admit it. Almost everyone you know seems to be playing pickleball now, right? So whether you just want to learn how to play or you're ready to show off your elite pickleball skills, the Y is the place for you. Visit our brand new McGuire Family Pickleball Center at the Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach. 5 top quality outdoor courts and 3 amazing indoor courts where you can learn about dinks, dill ball, falafel, the kitchen, and more pickleball slang at the Y.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Hey guys, this is David Garrard, and I want to tell you about Clearwater Irrigation. They put my new sprinkler system in my new home at Jack's Beach, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, hey John.
What's up, Dave? You know what this means. You're going to have to sing.
Man, I can't sing.
Then you'll fit right in, buddy. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. Hit it, Dave.
And drainage too.
ClearwaterJacks.com. Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Strength and resistance training are some of the best forms of exercise you can do to strengthen your muscles and improve your body composition. It may also lead to important improvements in metabolic health, meaning your blood sugar levels are easier to manage, and it also increases how many calories you burn at rest. The Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans recommends resistance training twice per week in addition to cardio training. Let's get fit, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Final week of OTAs going on right now. They have mini camp next week, and then they will depart for about 5 weeks, and when they return the end of next month, it will be training camp here in Duval County. With all that being said, let's talk about the Jaguars, but primarily let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. Is some of the national, venom that he gets a little unwarranted? Is he maybe better than some national folks might believe? With that, let's go to Ryan Michael. He is a contributing writer and analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You can also catch him on KOA out there in Denver, the Broncos flagship station. And Ryan joins us here on 1010XL. Ryan, how you doing?
Doing well, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Ryan, you made some noise on social media over the weekend with some Jaguar fans. A lot of people nationally, such as yourself, have been very critical about Trevor Lawrence this offseason. You were not critical. In fact, you think some of that national venom, if you will, is maybe a little unwarranted when it comes to Trevor's performance. Explain that a little bit.
I think, if anything, that would be an understatement. And I've been making the argument for 2 years now, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that relative to totality of playing situation, you could make the argument that no quarterback over the last 2 years has played at a higher level than Trevor Lawrence. I think the criticism from fans, from talking heads, from the national media is more a function of looking at the box score results, the win-loss total dating back to his rookie season, and just walking away from that feeling as if he hasn't lived up to expectations. But it's all about that context. So when you dive a little bit deeper into the numbers, and then we can talk about some of the numbers specifically in a moment, the picture I painted is one where Trevor Lawrence is still, in spite of playing significantly injured last year, amongst one of the best quarterbacks in pro football. So one of my favorite stats, and I guess this is the one that's not even my stat that brought up a lot of discussion last weekend, comes courtesy of Ben Baldwin at Ben B. Baldwin on X. It's adjusted EPA, and that's described as EPA adjusted for pass protection, receiver drops, dropped interceptions, luck on interceptable passes, fumble recoveries, and interception returns, given credit for expected yards after the catch only, and accounting for defenses faced. So with that adjustment last year, Trevor Lawrence ranked third in the NFL, below only Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott, number one in the AFC. To see him rank that high, despite the litany of injuries he battled last year, is remarkable, and that's exactly what I'm seeing on tape. It's not that the singular plays and the turnovers aren't as bad as people say they are. They are. But when you have to take into account the totality of playing situation, it's not just the injuries, it's the supporting cast, which I'd like to touch on a bit as well. Trevor Lawrence played very well last year, and I'm confident he'll play very well this year if healthy. That's the question mark.
Ryan Michael, contributing writer and analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. And Ryan, I think some of the negativity towards Trevor, I guess, the whole generational thing, right? Now, he didn't label himself that. Talking heads such as you and I labeled him that nationally. He certainly hasn't lived up to that. There's only one generational guy right now. He resides in Kansas City, and he's got 3 rings on his hand there at Patrick Mahomes. But I agree with you. Some of the drops, some of the issues Trevor had to go through, the Urban Meyer fiasco in year number 1. And last year, yeah, he did not play well towards the end of the year. But as you mentioned, the injuries, they were 8-3 really prior to all those injuries occurring. I think you're spot on, and the thought about Trevor nationally is just nonsense. I've seen him compared to Daniel Jones statistically and Gardner Minshew even. And don't get me wrong, I love Gardner, but that is just absolute nonsense in my opinion.
And that's why you don't just look at the box score results. You have to dive deeper into the context of playing situation. The first thing I would note is that Trevor's awful rookie campaign is factored into those numbers. So when you're weighing 2021, where he started all 17 games, it definitely impacts the efficiency numbers, right? And I think you have to set aside 2021 and treat it for exactly what it was. A major disappointment, certainly for the Jaguars, certainly for Trevor Lawrence, and from a box score perspective, not very sharp. One thing I can say is there were some notable positives to take away from his rookie season. I mean, we know about the interceptions. We know about the lack of touchdown productivity. I don't hear people talking about the reality that at no point when he stood on the field on Thursday Night Football against the eventual AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals did the Jaguars play with a deficit. He actually outperformed Joe Burrow if you're looking at total QBR. And to do it with that 2021 Jaguar squad was remarkable. Certainly the way we closed off the season in the Clown Bowl against Indianapolis, knocking them out of the postseason. So it wasn't all bad. But something that I want to dig into is really just the injury history that Trevor Lawrence has been going through since his rookie year, because durability has been his greatest strength in terms of availability. And when you consider the injuries he's battled, I think it's worth noting the high ankle sprain versus the Buffalo Bills his rookie year, his sprained toe in 2022. He played a lot of 2022 at under 100%. You just wouldn't know it because the performance didn't take a step backward. But eventually, and this happens with anybody who amounts a collection of injuries as time goes on, it caught up with him in 2023. You had certainly the knee injury against the Colts, and a lot of us were worried that he wouldn't play the next week, and then he goes on Monday Night Football and just tears up the New Orleans Saints. The high ankle sprain versus the Bengals, that was a serious injury where his knee might have even gone into a state of hyperflexion. A concussion against the Ravens, he plays the following week anyway, and then eventually the shoulder AC joint sprain versus Tampa Bay is really what took him out. So we could point to the reality that we beat Carolina without him, We also held Carolina to 0 points, Ryan. So I'm pretty sure you or I could have walked away with a win if we played against Carolina's defense that day. And then he still returns for the season finale against Tennessee. We all weren't happy with the way that it ended. But I look at sack percentage as a stat that Trevor's been remarkably proficient in. He threw 43 passes in the season finale, took 0 sacks. So to put up the numbers that he did with those collection of injuries, and then you factor in the team support. So I got some more numbers for you. The Jaguars finished 32nd, dead last in rushing EXP, which is an efficiency metric per Pro Football Reference. If you subtract Trevor's rushing production on the ground, he was the team's leader in yards per carry. They would have finished dead last in yards per carry at 3.41. They finished second to last on defense in the AFC in touchdown passes surrendered. Only my Denver Broncos gave up 29. Jacksonville gave up 27, 17th in points surrendered. On the offensive line, 21st in pass block rate, 31st in run block rate. For Trevor to have done what he did, playing for that roster with the context of those injuries, I think is remarkable. You could even make the argument that he was better last year than he was in 2022 when he was healthier. It's just the team wasn't nearly as good as they were in 2022.
Ryan, now let me ask you this. Again, you're giving a lot of numbers, a lot of really interesting facts, and we love it. Again, Ryan Michael, contributing writer and analyst there for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The surrounding talent coming into 2024, it was a very interesting offseason here in Jacksonville. You know, I had a photo on my phone of training camp last year of Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Christian Kirk, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this could be a nice trio for a couple of years. Well, now here we are 9 months later, and Zay Jones is in Arizona, and Calvin Ridley's in Nashville. In comes Gabe Davis. In comes Brian Thomas. Christian Kirk, the elder statesman. You have Evan Ingram, certainly. Devin Duvernay, obviously Travis Etienne. Do you believe that the Jaguars coming into this year have surrounded Trevor with enough talent at the skill positions?
If we were measuring it relative to what he had to work with as a rookie, I would say that the 2024 roster, just as the 2023 roster on paper and the 2022 roster, is light years ahead. If we're looking at the roster in totality relative to what other players around the league are being surrounded with, I would put it somewhere in the middle. There's certainly some skill position players who are capable of making plays. I'm excited to see what Brian Thomas, who led college football with 17 touchdown receptions last year, can do in Doug's offense. But if you're looking at it just on paper, which is all we can do until the regular season comes, I would put it somewhere towards the middle of the pack.
Gabe Davis got a lot of criticism for the contract, or I guess the Jaguars got a lot of criticism for the contract they gave Gabe Davis. And Ryan, I really don't understand that. The guy just turned 25. He's had no fewer than 6 touchdowns in each of his 4 seasons in the NFL. Did he live up to expectations in Buffalo? Not necessarily, but again, you had Stephon Diggs there. Now he gets a fresh start in his home state. He went to college at UCF. Why do you think so many people have poo-pooed the Gabe Davis signing? What are your thoughts on it?
You know, I'm not down on that signing. I'm actually high on that signing. And the reality is that talented wide receivers do not grow on trees when it comes to free agency. We'd all like to sign Justin Jefferson if he were available. Maybe not for that cost, but we'd love to have a player of his caliber, no doubt. I think part of it, Ryan, might be a little bit of residual effect for what happened with Calvin Ridley, for what has happened with Christian Kirk, both players who have been 1,000-yard receivers in this offense, but not necessarily league leaders. And you look at expensive signings at the skill positions, and you say to yourself, okay, well, I'm not going to get somebody who's going to be starting in a Pro Bowl. They actually played that game. You know, I'm getting a middle-of-the-pack complementary receiver, and what's that really going to look like as a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 3? So it's not the kind of signing that I think you need to put on a birthday hat and go around dancing in celebration. But I do think it's a solid signing, given the reality of what was available at the time.
Final moments with Ryan Michael, and of course Christian Kirk is healthy now too. He got hurt in that Cincinnati game and did not play the remainder of the year last year, which certainly affected the Jaguar offense. Trent Baalke gets a lot of grief nationally, and quite frankly, gets a lot of grief here in Jacksonville. The general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't have as big a problem with some of the things Trent has done as some of the fan base does here, Ryan. I'm curious, a guy like you that obviously studies the numbers and studies all these rosters, what is your thought about the job the Jags GM has done here?
I think he's probably done a little bit better than he's been given credit for over the last 3 years, and his history prior up to that point certainly precedes him. Something that Jaguars fans need to keep in mind is that there are 32 teams, and when you look at the teams who are the most effective in free agency, something that often comes along with that is absolute excellence at the quarterback position, which I believe the Jaguars have, or they're on the cusp of having it at the very least. The problem is the Jaguars don't yet have that roster in place. So Peyton Manning is probably one of the greatest examples of a free agent magnet, his time with us in Denver. And you look at a number of the players that we signed in Denver that helped us win that Super Bowl in 2015. And you can say, well, the Broncos were excellent when it comes to free agency. And yes, they were, but they had the benefit of the Peyton Manning magnet and the culture that the Denver Broncos bring that attracts players over to that region. So when you look at what Trent Baalke's done over the last 3 years, maybe it's not towards the top of the very best of what the NFL has to offer, but being middle of the pack isn't necessarily a backhanded compliment. It could be a lot worse.
Ryan, bottom line, the AFC is absolutely loaded with talented quarterbacks. I mean, you just go down the line. It is incredible, the talent in the American Football Conference. In your opinion, where would you stack Trevor right now among the AFC quarterbacks?
I would put Trevor Lawrence right behind Patrick Mahomes. And the reason why I say that isn't obviously the raw numbers from 2023, although, again, it's worth noting, number one in the AFC in adjusted EPA, 9th in the NFL in sack percentage, his 3rd consecutive year at being top 10 in sack percentage, 9th in completions, 10th passing yards, a career high 7.1 yards per attempt. So the raw numbers are better when you factor in that context. It's what I'm seeing from Trevor Lawrence on film that has me stepping away from the film room, believing that he is one of the very best quarterbacks in the NFL. The NFL is the ultimate team sport, so we can't all play for Kansas City, can we? There's plenty of talent. C.J. Stroud had arguably the greatest rookie passing season that we've seen in over a decade. It'll be interesting to see what he does in year 2, because I'm a little bit more impressed with what a quarterback does in their sophomore year versus their freshman year after defensive coordinators have more film to study. We see Trevor Lawrence took a big step forward in his 2nd year. Historically speaking, when you have quarterbacks who step in and they're incredibly dominant in year 1, they oftentimes take a little bit of a step back in year 2. Be interesting to see if the Jaguars defense can be a contributing factor in doing that to C.J. Stroud this year.
Ryan, as we say goodbye, the AFC South, last year maybe the most boring division, right? We heard even talk about being in the worst division in football. Now you look at June of 24, man, I'm not sure if there's many more compelling divisions with C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson returning. The Titans spent $1 billion in free agency to surround Will Levis with talent. I mean, what is your thought on the division as we approach the season?
Certainly on paper, it looks to be one of the most competitive divisions in football. And I think one of the most interesting things is that all of the teams in the AFC South appear to be on paper somewhat equally matched. So it's not top heavy like other divisions in football. So it's going to make the games throughout the season incredibly exciting. And then those divisional games for Jacksonville are going to come at a premium. They got to pick up those wins early and really position themselves to make a postseason run at the end of the year.
I know Jaguar fans, Ryan, will really enjoy your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. They get a lot of the negative side of it. Now they get the positive side of it. For Jaguar fans that want to see more of your work, want to see more of your stuff, where is the best place to find you?
Just follow me on X at @RyanMichael.
Ryan Michael of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's a contributing writer and an analyst. And talk about your work out there with KOA in Colorado with the Denver Broncos.
Sure. So I have a segment called Inside the Numbers with Ryan Michael on Broncos Country Tonight with Benjamin Albright and Nick Ferguson. And we do that every week. So it's going to be this Wednesday night, 7:05 Denver time.
Ryan, really enjoyed the conversation. Let's do this again as the season approaches. Thank you, as always, for joining us.
Sounds good, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Aren't you tired of asking for just enough to get by? Yes. I want to do something that matters. I want to have a life that I'm excited about. I want
1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars. Brackish Vodka is now available at the patio on 5th and Ash, the best happy hour on the island. 3 to 6 half-price appetizers and half price on all beer and wine.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing has the highest wind and impact ratings available? If you want a stronger roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Learn more at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
I have done in my career literally thousands of joint replacements.
Meet Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, National Medical Director at QC Kinetics, an acclaimed orthopedic surgeon who now advises patients try all they can do to avoid the knife and consider regenerative medicine.
I myself was able to continue skiing for 10 years after my knees started to be a problem because I accessed regenerative medicine.
Now, after 20 years of study, research, teaching, publications, and clinical experience, Dr. Scheinkup is regarded as one of America's true pioneers.
This is the future of medicine.
Dr. Scheinkup came to QC Kinetics after seeing what they were doing around the country, helping tens of thousands of patients get lasting relief from joint pain with no surgery and no drugs.
QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, an avocado consultant from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Dave Ortega. Okay, Dave, here's your question. Your house is not bad in the morning, but by the afternoon, your AC can barely keep up, even with the curtains closed. What do you do?
Can I buy a valve?
Not that kind of show, Dave.
Can I spin the wheel?
Yeah, we don't even have a wheel, Dave.
Can I phone a friend? Can I call Bueller?
That's right, Dave. Call Bueller Air and Plumbing to assess your home's airflow and sunlight patterns, and let us optimize your air conditioning so that you are cool.
This is the happiest day of my life.
Well, you gotta get out more, Dave.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey, David here with Royal Pest Services. Men, are you struggling in the bedroom? Do spiders and roaches have you scared? Visit RoyalPestServices.com and let us help you get that man card back. Guaranteed results on our first visit.
Get ready to swing into the hottest party this summer. Join First Team North Florida at the Yards June 13th for the Summer Soiree. We're bringing the spirit of the Pacific Islands to Ponte Vedra with a Hawaiian luau-themed event. Enjoy family-friendly fun, including Hawaiian food trucks, live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and more. The First Tee Summer Soiree provides the perfect blend of golf, party, and philanthropy. All proceeds benefit the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will take you up till 10 o'clock tonight. Coming up at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. A lot of interesting tidbits in the world of college football. You see the College Football Hall of Fame class? It's going to be headlined by Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. Has there ever been a better Hall of Fame class? I mean, obviously, greatest coach of all time, one of the greatest coaches of all time are going to be the headliners. So we'll talk about that. Certainly a lot of going on as well with the odds coming out in Vegas. Boy, I'll tell you this, the preseason magazines, they love the Georgia Bulldogs. You know who else loves the Georgia Bulldogs? Las Vegas loves the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia a favorite everywhere you look to win the national championship. So we'll do some college football stuff with Brent Beard coming up at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, our NFC East preview continues. Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post talking about the New York Football Giants. Brian Dable, is he on the hot seat up in New York? Perhaps. Look, we went to Dallas last night. We will go to Washington and Philadelphia later in the week as we do our NFC East preview this week. But right now, it's all about the New York Football Giants. And look, they added Brian Burns, which is great. They lost Saquon Barkley, and not only did they lose Saquon Barkley, he went to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yikes. What about the Giants? Is it a rebuild? Is the coach on the hot seat? And is Daniel Jones any good? NFC East preview continues. Talking New York Giants. My buddy Ryan Dunleavy up in New York with the Post joins us next. Tuesday night, Hacker After Dark. 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
I think we're ready for a tournament.
We are so flipping good.
Attention, Googans. Come drive, drop, and dink with the drill Friday, June 14th.
That's our first tournament.
At the Fruit Cove Recreation Club. Cash prizes, free swag, beginner's clinic, and Jeff E.T. and I in an exhibition match.
It looks so easy.
Go to thefruitcove.com and click on the 1010 flyer. To sign up your men's, women's, or mixed team, that's thefruitcove.com.
We are so good at pickleball.
Sponsored by good friends at Injury Care Centers and Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors.
Hacker here, and I just got back from a 9-day cruise to the Caribbean. Now, I knew I was going to slip off my Awaken 180 program because, hey, I deserve it. I've lost 65 pounds so far. But guess what? My Awaken 180 coach even suggested it and helped me cheat. She showed me how to take a break for 9 days and not put any of the weight back on. I ate all sorts of foods, from fried green tomatoes to frog legs, but the shocking part, I didn't keep going back up for seconds, thirds, or fourths. My body didn't need it, and I really didn't want it. Did I lose weight on vacation? No, I was on a break. But did I gain 10 pounds? No, sir. I didn't gain a single pound because my metabolism is on fire. My body's just doing its thing. If you want a program that works, want coaches that understand real life, do what we all did and call Awaken 180. They've got your back while keeping your front from popping. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
The 2024 season schedule is here, and so are single-game tickets. Don't miss your favorite matchups, and be at the bank when the Jaguars take on the biggest names in the NFL.
To the end zone, touchdown!
Don't miss a moment of the action during our exciting 30th season, and grab your single-game tickets today. Lock in seats for your favorite matchup now by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
Coverage and analysis of the 2024 off-season workouts on 1010XL is brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter, Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
New faces on the field for the first time in team.
There are no shortcuts, man.
OTA coverage is brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Up, quick feet!
On 1010XL.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing will last 2 to 3 times longer than a shingle roof? If you want a better roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches, pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and you know you've heard this before. Why is it so hot in this house? Well, summer's already here on the First Coast, and those soaring temperatures can do a number on our ACs. This is where the good folks at Fenwick Home Services have you covered. Fenwick offers same-day 24/7 service, and if you need a new AC because yours is on its last leg or already broken, Fenwick has next-day installation. That's right, next day, and can keep your family cool and comfortable all year long. Book online now at FenwickHomeservices.com. That's FenwickHomeservices.com, and stay cool and comfortable all year long.
Hey, I'm not going to pretend I know the specific problems you might be facing when it comes to the prospect of selling your home. Maybe you need more space for your office or a growing family. Perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a low-ball, out-of-state, instant offer. It's a tougher market. It means it's crucial to hire the right agents to sell your home and maximize your price, and that's why I'm recommending Chad and Sandy Newman, chadandsandy.com. They have the plan and experience to get your home sold fast and get it sold for maximum cash. In fact, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Can you have any more comfort and security than that? Take Tanya in Palencia. I needed to sell my condo fast. I bought a new construction home thinking I had plenty of time to sell, but I listed with another realtor and I got no showings and no offers. I ended up paying 2 mortgages. I then hired Chad and Sandy. I got offers in days and closed in under 30. Go to chadandsandy.com and take advantage of chadandsandy.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Last week, it was all about the AFC East. This week, it's all about the NFC East. We will make stops in Washington. We will make stops in Philadelphia and in Dallas. Tonight, it's all about the New York Football Giants and what was a very interesting offseason for the Giants. Some big acquisitions, some big losses, and how they fit in to that division coming in here to 2024. Our guy up in New York is Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. He's our guy when it comes to the football Giants, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ryan, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Ryan, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. And all right, boys, some really interesting departures, some really interesting acquisitions. We'll get to all of it. But in totality, how would you assess the last 4 months or so of the Giants offseason?
they redid their total identity. I guess that's not a bad thing when you've lost as much as they've lost in the last 7 years. But they went from a team that was Saquon Barkley front-facing to a team that's built on positional value, and they're going to emphasize the pass rush and the offensive line. And, that's why Brian Burns is here, and that's their biggest moves were free agent moves were offensive linemen, and they drafted Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver. They're going to be built now on the positions that people around the league generally value. I just don't know if overall, to use like a Madden phrase, if their overall rating is any better than it was last year. They changed the parts. I just don't know that the team is any better.
Yeah, a lot of different moving parts, as you mentioned. Brian Dable, right? He's on the same Doug Peterson timeline. He's coming into year number 3 there in New York. What is the thought on him?
That he's a good offensive-minded coach who's in a little bit of a hot seat because they overachieved the first year, which set up unrealistic expectations for the second year. They bottomed out in the second year, and his personality really wore on a lot of his assistant coaches. It blew up with Wink Martindale. They had a screaming match, expletive-laden screaming match that led to Wink's departure. He's now at the University of Michigan. A lot of assistant coaches left. More wanted to leave that didn't leave because they're under contract. So there's a very big microscope on Brian Daboll this year as far as how he handles himself behind the scenes with other people and how he handles himself on the sidelines. It became like almost a running joke, and the Giants don't like to be a running joke, that he was like red-faced in these games and throwing tablets at Daniel Jones and unable to compose himself to do interviews with the halftime reporters. That was not a good look for Brian Daboll.
Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post talking New York Giants with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. You mentioned Daniel Jones. Obviously, a lot of thoughts about Daniel Jones and the contract he got before last season. You're around the team every day, Ryan. Your thoughts on Daniel Jones and his future there in New York?
It's so funny. Like, I didn't think it was a good idea to give Daniel Jones a 4-year, $160 million contract when they did it. I thought they should have made him play on the franchise tag last year. But I've gone from being one of his biggest critics to one of his defenders because now it's so far the other way. Giants fans are acting like he's the worst quarterback in the NFL. And not just Giants fans. I saw CBS Sports Media. Somebody had a list that ranked him as the 32nd best quarterback. That's nonsense, okay? He's not the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's an average quarterback by most standards who has never really had a lot to work with. He's always played behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league with one of the worst receiving cores in the league. They've moderately upgraded the offensive line. They should have significantly upgraded the receiver core if Malik Neighbors is able to play at the standard to which he was drafted. So what do I think of him? I think he's an average quarterback who's going to have to play for his job this year. He's better than Drew Lock. There's not going to be a quarterback competition if Daniel is healthy, coming off 2 major neck injuries and an ACL repair. That's always been the knock on him. That's why the Giants looked far and wide for quarterbacks this year in the NFL draft, and they ended up passing on Penix and J.J. McCarthy because their guy was Drake May, and they couldn't get up to get him. So that was a sign that they're also worried about Daniel Jones, but more that they're worried about Daniel Jones staying healthy than they are Daniel Jones producing. So we'll see how he looks coming off ACL surgery. In the offseason, everything suggests he'll be ready for week 1.
And you do believe there was an effort by the Giants to get into that top 3 of the draft?
Oh, it's unquestionable. Yeah, it's unquestionable. It's not what I believe. It's facts. That there was an effort to get into the top 3. Now, what kind of effort? I don't know what they offered. Various other reporters have said they offered the number 6 pick, their second-round pick, and the first-round pick next year to move from number 6 to number 3. That would be a very similar trade to what they made in 2004 for Eli Manning, the famous Philip Rivers for Eli Manning trade. Very similar package. That was not going to get it done. prices of quarterbacks have gone up in the last 20 years, and the Patriots really had no interest in moving off the pick. You would have had to give them some sort of blockbuster, like 3 first-round pick offer, which the Giants were never going to do. Now, they start the season with the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy maybe in week 1. That will be a fascinating tone setter for the season. If J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback in week 1 and he outplays Daniel Jones, then then there won't be a team under more pressure than the Giants after week 1 if the quarterback they passed on outplays Daniel Jones.
Couple of more for Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post as our NFC East preview continues this week. Tonight, it's all about the New York Giants. You mentioned Malik Neighbors. We got his partner in crime down here, Brian Thomas from LSU, later in the first round. The Giants took Neighbors in the top 10. It's only OTAs. It's all we can go on, but how has Malik Neighbors looked to this point?
Lightning quick in terms of in and out of his breaks. He's been open every single time I've seen, almost every play I've seen him through, 4 or 5 practices that I've seen. Huge catch radius. The reports you hear on him are, hardworking, and there's obviously a fear here, right? Because the Giants' last receiver they took was Kadarius Toney. He did not have the work ethic. You knew almost from day 1 of practice that it wasn't going to work here when his shoes didn't fit. Then the last superstar they had was Odell Beckham Jr., and they didn't like his, for lack of a better term, diva attitude. So it's like, well, what do you expect here? I think the Giants are much more willing to handle the diva-ness now, if there is some of that in Malik Neighbors, which you hear a little of, if he is an extraordinary talent. And his talent has shown through so far. So I think they'll be happy with that part of it. What I would say is I split my time a little bit between, I'd probably do 75% Giants practices, 25% Jets practices. Garrett Wilson from the Jets is a phenomenal player who has never had a quarterback to work with. He could be on the verge of breaking out for the Jets here with Aaron Rodgers. And Malik Neighbors, that will be the standard I judge him against, is Garrett Wilson. And so far, I'm like, yeah, I see some Garrett Wilson and Malik Neighbors.
Interesting. And you certainly have the perspective on that. That was the offensive acquisition. Defensively, it was all about Brian Burns and the big contract the Giants gave him after that trade. What is Burns going to bring to that defense?
Well, there's a chance that the Giants, when people think about Giants football, they think about great pass rushers, right? Whether it's Lawrence Taylor or the trios of Osi Umenyiora, Osi Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, and Michael Strahan in Super Bowl 42, or Osi Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, and Jason Pierre-Paul in Super Bowl 46. That's what they think about. Well, there's a chance that the Giants have gone back to that identity with Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Dexter Lawrence, that 3-headed pass rush monster. Now, whether they have enough leads to really tee off on a pass rush, I'm a little suspect of. I don't know that there'll be a high-scoring offense yet again, but they definitely have an identity on defense of getting after the quarterback. Burns is a guy who plays the run, plays the pass, I think he has something like 46 sacks in his 5-year career, the bona fide pass rusher who allows the Giants, you're going to have to kind of pick your poison between him and Thibodeau. And the Giants actually wanted Brian Burns in the 2019 draft. He got picked 1 pick before them, and they took Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is a fantastic nose tackle, gets tons of pressure and stops the run. And now for the first time, Burns and Dexter will be playing together.
Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. Ryan, as we begin to wrap up, Calvin Ridley left Jacksonville to go to Tennessee, so it was a double-edged sword. You lose a great player to a division rival. I can't imagine the fan reaction when Saquon Barkley leaves, and of all places he goes to Philadelphia. What has been the fan reaction about that?
It's very strange, right? Like the older Giants fan, I think, recognizes what a great player Saquon Barkley was, that he was never at his full, never given a full chance here with pieces around him. And look, he's the most popular jersey in the stands among active players. So they definitely lost the face of their franchise. The fact that he went to Philadelphia really grates on people, especially on John Mara, I think John Mara, the owner of the Giants, even said the one place he didn't want to see him go was in division, and he certainly went there. So that puts some pressure on Joe Shane to have made the right decision when evaluating Saquon Barkley's future and not matching that contract that the Eagles gave him. The younger Giants fan basically said good riddance. And I think that's a mistake, but the younger Giants fan basically didn't believe in the contract. They don't believe in paying running backs. You see that everywhere nowadays. They associate him with 6 years of losing, and they basically said good riddance. And if he goes to Philadelphia, so be it. We'll see if that's the right attitude. I'd be very cautious of saying good riddance to Saquon Barkley. The Giants haven't had enough good players, but that's kind of the Twitter Giants reaction to it.
Ryan, as we say goodbye, nationally the thought is Philadelphia, Dallas, Dallas, Philadelphia, whatever order you want to put them in. Probably the Giants third, Washington fourth, and maybe a rebuild. Is that the way you see it, or do you feel New York could challenge Philly and Dallas for that division?
No, I definitely don't. No, I actually see it as Philadelphia a good step ahead of Dallas, who I think will take a step back. Dallas a good step ahead of Washington for third, and Washington nearly ahead of the Giants for fourth. I think you're talking about two teams that win 4, 5, 6 games, whatever it is, at the bottom of the division. Giants and Washington grouped together. They'll probably split their two head-to-head matchups. But, no, I think both Washington and the Giants are significantly behind Dallas, who's significantly behind Philly. And whether the Giants or Washington is the better team, I guess is probably a toss-up, but I'd give the edge to Washington right now.
Wow, interesting. And if that's the case, when we're doing this next year, they have a new head coach, right? If they go 4, 5, or 6 wins this year?
It depends how it goes. I mean, if it's a situation where they're all injured, like kind of what happened to last year, then maybe they make an excuse for Brian Daboll. If it's a situation where Daniel Jones is a train wreck, then maybe they say, okay, we'll give him a chance to develop a new young quarterback. If it's a situation where the locker room implodes, well, that got Ben McAdoo fired after a much better resume than Brian Daboll has so far. So really, it just depends on how it goes. The Giants do not take kindly to being a punchline, and this offseason, a lot of national people have made them a punchline. So it's on them to turn that around, and Brian Daboll to turn that around to keep his job.
Ryan, there's a lot of New York fans here in the Jacksonville area. Let them know where they can find your coverage and where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, obviously the New York Post, one of the best sports sections in the country, has daily Giants coverage. nypost.com, and my stuff specifically is always on my Twitter account at RY Dunleavy, Ryan Dunleavy.
Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post covering the New York Giants. Ryan, thank you for the time. I know you're busy as always. We appreciate it. We'll do it again soon, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Nobody said they were smart.
I like your style. I like your moves.
No one said they're talented.
Now where were we?
But they are funny, and they know sports. Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. They are The Drill. Mornings on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Is your roof ready to weather the storm? Don't take chances with your home safety. Trust the experts at Universal Roof and Contracting. Get peace of mind knowing your home is protected from the elements. They'll ensure your roof is in top shape to handle anything Mother Nature throws its way. Right now, get 10% off a re-roof or repairs, plus a free wind mitigation with a full roof replacement. Call 855-ROOF-HELP or click universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection. License number CCC 057165, CVC 1258484.
AC Hotline, how can I help?
Help! Our AC isn't working, and my husband's pouring ice cubes down his pants.
Wow, okay, well, we can help with the AC issue.
Please. I'm afraid he's going to damage something.
Okay, I'm going to connect you with the Duck.
The doc?
No, the Duck. Duck Air Conditioning. Jacksonville area's AC experts.
Okay, tell them to hurry.
Beat the Florida heat with Duck Air Conditioning. Service, repairs, new installations, commercial or residential. Trust the Duck. DuckDuckAC.com.
It's soccer around the world, and here at home on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour, Monday evenings on 10:10 a.m. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley for Soccer Talk, Mondays at 6 on 1010XL.
Get ready to swing into the hottest party this summer. Join First Team North Florida at the Yards June 13th for the Summer Soiree. We're bringing the spirit of the Pacific Islands to Ponte Vedra with a Hawaiian luau-themed event. Enjoy family-friendly fun, including Hawaiian food trucks, live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and more. The First Tee Summer Soiree provides the perfect blend of golf, party, and philanthropy. All proceeds benefit the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Your kids can learn from NFL Hall of Famer Leroy Butler's annual free Legends football and cheer camp. June 22nd at the Police Athletic League at Ed Austin Park. Register at jaxpalsports.com.
Builders Care is looking for volunteers, and there are so many ways you can help. Find out how at builderscare.org.
Dreams Come True is a local wish-granting organization giving dreams and special times to local children battling life-threatening illnesses. Find out how you can help at dreamscometrue.org.
Caddyshack Ranch provides a safe, loving, and forever home to endangered big cats. Caddyshack on the north side of Jacksonville has helped lions, tigers, and endangered animals for 30 years. Learn how you can visit or help at caddyshackranch.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
I know you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not quite sure how when it comes time to sell it. I'll tell you how. I'll give you two hows, Chad and Sandy. More on that in a second. It's a tougher market now. It means it's crucial to hire the right agents to sell your home to maximize price, and we have been telling you now for years, and why I'm recommending Chad and Sandy Newman at chadandsandy.com. They've got the plan and experience to sell your home fast for maximum cash. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts. You can cancel at any time, but most importantly, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Take Mary in Panther Creek. My dream was to move from my Panther Creek home into a new Del Webb Sweetwater home closer to my family. Chad and Sandy made it happen. They sold my own home in just 14 days, plus they helped me get into my new dream home at the same time. Call the Jacksonville experts I trust and recommend. Call Chad and Sandy at 414-6200, 904-414-6200, or chadandsandy.com.
This is Hayes Carlion for QC Kinetics. Are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of joint pain? Well, give my friends at QC Kinetics a call at 904-274-5522 for a free consultation. They're serving the Jacksonville area with locations in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue so you can walk, run, hike, play golf, move again, pain-free. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility. Stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation, 904-274-5522 in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. That is QC Kinetics.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Tuesday evening, and we are glad you are with us. There is a lot going on in the month of June. Media Days now next month, and we are now, I think the official total is 81, either 81 or 80 days away from the first Saturday of college football, which, of course, the first game this year is Florida State as they take on Georgia Tech over in Dublin, Ireland. With all that being said, my buddy Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News, and you also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, sir?
I am doing fine, enjoying college baseball and softball. 2 magazines also out with Athlon and Lindy's National, so we're waiting on the SEC, basically regional magazine that's coming out this week for Lindy's, and then our buddy Phil Steele will be out in a few weeks too. So really still, as I'm not really sure, do you, that there is going to be an off week this year leading up to the start of the season?
You know, I was thinking about you over the weekend because we were talking about, me and a buddy got into preseason magazine conversations. And look, everything's gone digital. It's where we live in. It's the world we live in. But to me, there is still something about going to the newsstand and getting a preseason magazine and holding that preseason magazine. And maybe it's because I've been doing it every year going back to 1996 when I was 12 and 13 years old. But digital, we love technology and we love, being in that space. But the preseason college football magazine is still something that I really enjoy every year.
I think the part of it is just the nostalgia that goes along with it. Remembering as a child or a teenager, being able to get it and just look at it, because there, frankly, when we were growing up, there wasn't anywhere near the activity that we've got right now. And the other thing, for what you and I do every day, Hank, just to have it handy to look up a schedule, a roster, or something of that ilk, a top 25, I think is crucial. Look, you and I both know our phones can go out, or our laptops, and at that point, it's really handy to have a magazine.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And like you said, Wendy's is out, Athlon's out. I love Phil Steele's as well. He's coming out in about a month or so. All right, Brent, let's dive into some news and notes in the world of college football. And the College Football Hall of Fame nominees are out. Some really good names on the list. 2 headliners, 2 no-brainers to me. Both Nick Saban and Urban Meyer will take their place in the College Football Hall of Fame this year, one would think. Quickly, the legacies of both guys are incredible. Saban might be the best to ever do it. Certainly Urban is on a very short list of coaches that have accomplished, national titles at 2 different universities. What a class this is going to be for the College Hall.
It really will. And obviously Urban and Saban have both got national championships. Now, the thing with Urban is his legacy is more, I would say, more complicated. Tremendous coach, win 2 national championships. The Gator fans will never get back those rings, but the way that Urban treated people in his time with players, that some of that was not very complimentary. Let's be honest about that. So it's kind of a mixed legacy in a lot of ways. Saban and what he did to win will, I don't think, ever be matched again. But see, the thing that's with this list, you've got guys like Larry Blakeney, who did a good job at Troy. Jim Carlin was at West Virginia, Texas Tech, and South Carolina. And then you've got Ralph Friedgen at Maryland, who was there for a decade. And what about Tommy Tuberville? Yes, he's in Congress now, but you could argue that Tuberville had a really successful time at Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas Tech, Cincinnati. And I vote for these guys, and we'll do it before the deadline. But, man, oh, man, the first two are easy, but after that it gets pretty hard, don't it, Hack?
It does, and you see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. You're a perfect person to ask, and I've talked to Leon Searcy about this for a while, which, by the way, the fact that he hasn't even been on the ballot for the College Hall of Fame to me is ridiculous, but that's
really
an aside. Why is the College Football Hall, the sport that so many people love, Brent, we know how revered the Pro Football Hall of Fame is, why do you think the College Hall maybe isn't as big a deal as one would think?
I think that's a great question. I don't know if that is a lack of publicity, because see, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, heck, that whole weekend is on television. And when you really get down to the College Football Hall of Fame, I mean, people may get a little bit on the internet, or they may get something on maybe a magazine a little later, something like that. I'm just wondering out loud here, if they televise the dinner and they televise the events of that weekend, heck, would that help it? Like it has being a stalwart every year for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, the Pro Football Hall of Fame weekend, we went up there as a station when Baselli got in a couple of years ago. That kicks off the NFL season. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm just surprised that as the years have gone by, the College Football Hall, albeit a great honor, just doesn't seem to be in the public conscience nearly as much as what they do there in Canton, Ohio. So some food for thought. It's interesting, but again, what a class it'll be with Nick Saban and with Urban Meyer. College football odds, Brent, are out for the 2024 season, and what's interesting about these is what, quite frankly, the gamblers think of the team's chances to ultimately win the national championship. The teams that you would expect are at the top: Georgia 3-1, Ohio State 4-1, Texas 7-1. After that, you got Oregon, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, and then Florida State tied with Notre Dame and Penn State at 25-1.
I think what is different about this that we've got to keep in mind, and we're going to have to retrain our thinking, is it's not just the top 4; it's the top 12.
Right.
And I would say that you could go beyond the top 12. I don't know how far you could go. What, 15? Do you go to 20? I'm not sure about. I don't think 15 to 20 are going to win the national championship necessarily, but I think it's something that we've got to be able to keep in mind. But it is fascinating, is it not? And look, I'm not a gambler, but I've done this long enough, like you have, where I have respect for what these guys do. I mean, they have studied this. They get some insight and probably some back information like few people do. So because of that, I really can't help but to be able to pay attention to things like this from what they think.
People love Georgia, Brent. They love Georgia. The preseason magazines love Georgia. Las Vegas loves Georgia. Does Brent Beard love Georgia coming into the year?
Well, you can't help but when you look at Georgia, I mean, they've got players stacked like cordwood. And, yes, they had a lot of guys go to the NFL, but they've also got a lot of guys who are coming back. And I'm going to throw a guy out there like Dominique Lovett, who comes over from Missouri. Last year, I mean, he was almost lost. But this year, the light has come on. They have developed him. And that's one of the things that they do is you get talent and you're able to develop it. Now, the reverse of that is when you and I were covering Bobby Bowden, they could still recruit, but toward the end of Bob Bowden's career, they struggled developing players. Now, you don't have that at Georgia. You've got both of them there. There certainly is a love affair with Texas, even though they really haven't won anything yet. We know the pressure on Day and Ohio State to beat Michigan, and one of the teams that's really loved, or two of them, I would say, is going to be Oregon and Ole Miss. And what those two teams are going to be able to do. It's a fascinating early look, is it not? And certainly we can't forget about Florida State. They are going to be in the mix. They've got like 120 to 50 starts on that offensive line. That's a strength for them right now. I still don't think James Franklin's going to get Penn State into a national championship, but at the same time, it certainly is fun to talk about it this time of year.
You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. You know, Brent, I was watching yesterday Florida and Oklahoma, the softball there in Oklahoma City. That'll be a conference game next year in softball. It'll be a conference game a lot earlier than that when Oklahoma officially joins the SEC, I believe, on July 1st. We're less than a month away. You know, we've talked a lot about Texas, and I think a lot of the talk about Texas is because people think they're going to be so good in football this year. They were third, I think, on the odds list there in Vegas. But what about Oklahoma, the other team coming into the SEC? What are your thoughts on the Sooners there in Norman entering year number 1 in the Southeastern Conference?
Well, people almost forget about them coming in. Everyone's so focused on Texas, but Oklahoma, I think, is getting better with Brent Venables. They have beefed up their defense, and they needed to do that. And I give them a lot of credit. They're making coming into the league a big deal on July the 1st. I mean, they've got a lot of events on campus that's free to the public. They've got a 5K glow run at 11 p.m. How about that, Hack? You can watch everybody glow in the dark, and we'll continue. Well, it's actually on June 30th, and then go through July the 1st. And they've got some events for families that they will enjoy. I mean, I like that. Party at the Palace is something they're offering from 5 to 10, free music type stuff. They've got appearances from the athletic director, may have some fans, and so forth. So, I mean, you can read between the lines. They are making this a big deal.
It's an enormous deal for Oklahoma. And it, quite frankly, might be a bigger deal for Oklahoma than Texas. I mean, Texas with the brand and the Longhorn Network. I mean, it's a big deal for Texas to come into the SEC, but it's also a very big deal for Oklahoma. And as you mentioned, they're making it such out there in Norman. I had talked with Anton Harrison yesterday down at Jaguar OTAs, and I asked him about entering the conference, and he's very excited about the prospects of Oklahoma. Quickly, do you buy the Texas hype? Because there's many people that love Georgia, but there's also a lot of people that love Texas year number 1 in the SEC.
Well, I think obviously with Quinn Ewers coming back, that's going to be something to get their attention. The other thing is, though, now they lost a lot of players too. I mean, losing the Sweat kid on the defensive line. I mean, what a behemoth at well over 6 feet tall and about 360. That you can move. I mean, they've lost guys like that, but they have a tremendous amount of talent that is coming back. Yes and no, I do. Now, what's going to be fascinating is Texas goes to Michigan, Georgia goes to Texas. So, heck, could you see Texas maybe with a 9-3, and because of the competition they played and who they lost to, still getting into the playoffs?
I think you could definitely see a 9-3 team get into the playoff. That's obviously a far cry from what we've had with the 4-team playoff, but one loss or even 2 losses now doesn't necessarily end your shot at a national championship. Wrapping things up with Brent Beard. Brent, as we make the turn for home, I know you and I aren't big on changing the game that we love, but the schedule does change, and this year on Black Friday, an SEC doubleheader was announced. You got the Egg Bowl with Ole Miss and Mississippi State, followed by clean old-fashioned hate with Georgia and Georgia Tech. On the surface, even though I'm a guy that doesn't like change all that much, I kind of like an SEC doubleheader there on Black Friday.
That's pretty strong, isn't it, Hack? To have that and be able to look forward to it now. I really enjoyed the Egg Bowl being on Thanksgiving night, so that's kind of a shame. I still wonder if the SEC may move somebody to Thanksgiving night and for them to play. But look, if you looked at this Black Friday schedule like I have, they are really beefing this up. I mean, there's really probably twice as many games on. I mean, they've got Friday night games like Iowa, Nebraska, Utah at UCF. That would be fascinating. Do you see where Cam Rising, because of the transfer rule being a little more liberal now, that he could play another year, which would be 8 years?
You know, I was convinced Hines Ward spent a decade in Athens.
Yeah,
I'm now convinced Cam Rising might be going on 2 decades in college.
Yeah, I think there's probably some truth to that. I think there was a Miami tight end that was he had a real possibility of a 9th year, if you can believe that. But all in all, I mean, Oklahoma State, Colorado, Minnesota, Wisconsin, that you got during that day. So it's a pretty good schedule, and people are home after Thanksgiving. They're relaxing. They're eating turkey. I think TV has figured out that there are a lot of people home on Black Friday, so why don't we take advantage of it?
Oh, it's a great point. As far as the Egg Bowl, I agree. I loved it being on Thanksgiving night, but once the NFL figured out how great Thanksgiving night was, it was getting overshadowed. The game was by the NFL, so moving it to Friday afternoon is probably good for that rivalry. You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, I cannot believe we are in the month of June, but we are. Media Days is only a month or so away. Brother, thank you as always. We'll do it again next week.
And I tell you what, you think about this too, for the week 0 teams, they're actually opening fall camp next month, right? But because they play on the 24th of August, and because of that, they're going to have to start at least a week early in fall practice. So that along with high school games right now is kind of mind-numbing, isn't it?
It's always great to say they begin practice next month, which is true for the Jaguars in training camp and certainly true for Florida State. Thank you, Brent. We'll talk soon, pal.
Look forward to it, bud. Take care.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. My big takeaway of the evening here on Hacker After Dark. Well, I go back to hour number 1, right? Ryan Michael, who is a contributing writer and analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, had some really interesting numbers, the analytics when it comes to Trevor Lawrence. And Ryan's argument, unlike many that cover the league on a national basis, is that Trevor is getting unfairly criticized. If you look at the analytics, the numbers, it'll tell you Trevor is a heck of a lot better than what people would lead you to believe based on drops, based on injuries, based on everything that has transpired. It was a different take because normally when you bring up Trevor Lawrence to people outside of Jacksonville, they say things that are negative. They say things that are somewhat disappointing, right? But not Ryan Michael, which I thought was interesting, and that's why we had him on here on Hacker After Dark. A little bit of a different take, a more positive take on Trevor's first 3 years in the league. And, of course, Trevor entering year number 4 here in 2024. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very, very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Preseason magazines are out. The College Football Hall of Fame ballot is out. Nick Saban and Urban Meyer will be going into the College Football Hall this year. What a class that'll be for the College Football Hall of Fame. I like some of the Black Friday matchups. A lot of Black Friday college football games. The Friday after Thanksgiving, including a nice SEC doubleheader that was announced last week. The Egg Bowl, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, followed by clean old-fashioned hate, Georgia and Georgia Tech. So a lot of SEC matchups on Black Friday, which will be nice. And boy, the Georgia Bulldogs. Everybody loves Georgia. Vegas loves Georgia. The preseason magazines love Georgia. Georgia appears to be the overwhelming favorite to win the national championship again this year. And we talked with Brent about all of those. Our NFC East preview continued as we headed to New York tonight. Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post talking about the New York Football Giants. Brian Dable, maybe in a little bit of hot water on the hot seat entering year number 3. We'll see about Daniel Jones, life after Saquon Barkley. Of course, they added a great talent in Brian Burns. So we appreciate Ryan Dunleavy joining us tonight to talk Giants. We've now made stops in Dallas and New York. We will also make stops in Washington and Philadelphia as the week goes on. And thank you again, as we mentioned, to Ryan Michael, a contributing writer and analyst for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, for his different take on the numbers when it comes to Jaguar quarterback Trevor Lawrence. We will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Tuesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.